comment.
Just a quick announcement. The May Cafe, which remember we wrote a letter of support for that. They're opening, I think, the end of the month. This is on Felton, just north of Adams, on the west hand side. So excited about that. Seeing the new restaurant in the neighborhood.
Excellent, thank you. Online, we have Becky. You have the floor.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Becky Rapp, and last time you met, I shared some information with your planning group regarding the tobacco enforcement actions and how they're significantly lacking in San Diego. And I shared some information about how Oceanside is really vamping up their enforcement. Tonight, I wanted to share with you another situation in Encinitas, another neighboring city, that has taken a very aggressive approach towards repeated smoke shop violations. In one reported case, a smoke shop operator faced approximately $2 million in fines and penalties tied to ongoing violations of tobacco retail laws and illegal product sales, and paid it within a couple of days. So what stands out is that neighboring cities are not only conducting inspections and seizures, but also imposing financial consequences. And the goal is clear that compliance and protection of public health are of the utmost importance. So meanwhile, in San Diego, residents continue to report flavored tobacco products, kratom, and intoxicating hemp products being sold in these smoke shops with limited enforcement, if any enforcement at all. So I just come to ask this planning group to continue to help advocate for safe neighborhoods and responsible land use. Strong and consistent enforcement supports those goals by reducing youth access to harmful products, but also improving neighborhood quality of life, and can also impact our budget, which would be really, really great. So I just appreciate you letting me take the time to speak tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have a question. Is there a place that a community can pull up information on this and or report violations?
Yes, so the city has said that you can report on the Get It Done app, but I would also encourage you to write directly to the council representatives and their staff. If you've noticed, every tobacco shop have glaring signs with kratom and hemp. And when it says hemp, they are referring to the high potency intoxicating THC, which is illegal, not to mention the flavored vapes. There was recently a law enforcement went around to some neighboring cities, and it was some 90% of the businesses they went to had a back door or a back room that they kept these products in. So clearly they're everywhere. And we really just need our city to crack down. So, I mean, Get It Done is one way. I can send you some information on the illegal products if you would like.
Yeah, yes, please. I'll include it on our minutes or on the site.
Great, thank you.
Any other public comments? Not, then we'll move to.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Could I be added back on to the notification? I was receiving the agendas from you. I do get agendas from Mission Valley and North Park, but my own district I was getting them and now I'm not.
You should have one in your email. It went out this morning. But I'll take a look and make sure you're still subscribed.
Yeah,
okay.
It's 2 months in a row. Yeah, I'll go home.
I'll take care of it.
I'm sorry, I wasn't ready. I'm illegally parked. I'll see if I can.
Oh, better run. We'll have more on parking later. The approval of the May minutes. We have a motion?
I'll move.
Okay. Francis second. Any discussion? comments, changes? No. Then take it to a vote, all in favor? Yeah, everybody?
Everybody.
Okay, and then the nays? Are there any abstains? Okay. Approved. In a related matter, Julia will be attending, classes in the fall that will conflict with this meeting, and so we'll have an open seat coming up. Hope to have her back as soon as classes are finished. But we will need a secretary for the next meeting. I will be out of town and Emily will be chairing. We have a volunteer for note taking for the next meeting.
I can do July, but
Oh, July,
I can be here July.
right, we
and
need
August,
someone,
So someone can start August.
we need someone to start shadowing you for,
Okay.
yeah, okay. Any takers? Pretty easy. You wanna do that?
Joe Paul.
I see you look around and you're like, oh, maybe I could.
There's four of us that aren't here. Maybe.
Next one, Okay. I'll let Emily know. We'll kick the can down the road. And we might have someone interested in the open seat. I sent an email, requesting that they come in August to introduce themselves. And then we would, I guess we would, elect them in August for a seating in September. August, yeah, September. Is that,
Oh, yeah.
okay, okay. Next is Brown Act training. Has anyone finished their Brown Act training for this cycle?
I think I did. Long time ago.
I'm sorry, I think I missed something. Do we have to do it every year? Is that
Every
right?
year. But you can test out. You can go straight to the quiz. So I would recommend, if you've done it before, just go straight to the quiz and then you can always retake the quiz. Yeah,
They're the same questions every year.
yeah.
So,
More than anything, it's a certification. So you're saying, I acknowledge that I know about these things, sort of like, installing software.
Well, I haven't done it.
Okay, there was a training session, last week, but it wasn't well announced. It was very spotty. Some CPGs knew about it and others didn't. I didn't. So, they had it and that's, Marlon does the live training every year and then he records it and puts that recording on the city website. So then that's the training that you watch is actually the webinar. And then after the webinar, you take the quiz. It's on the same page.
Yeah, I had a quick question too, because when I was elected and joined in April, I took the one in April already. And submitted my completed questionnaire form and all that good stuff. Today, which may have been a little bit last minute, but I had inquired about, do I take it again to start this fiscal year, or I'm still within the time list that is still.
You're within
okay.
the time. Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm happy to do it again. if
right.
needed.
I think the idea is that you don't go longer than. If you've taken it in like the 6 months leading up to it, then you're definitely in the
Oh.
time period.
Yeah, I think I did it again just earlier, just to be safe. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then I'll definitely mark you off on the list.
Okay.
And then as we
Yeah.
progress through them, when you do submit the results to the city, copy me, because they don't tell me, so I don't know.
Oh, okay, I can just forward it over to you. Yeah, my result, right?
Yeah, no, what you just said is good enough.
Okay.
I got you checked off.
I reported to you, didn't I?
You may have.
But my concern is that I did it so late. Does it mean like I'm already due again, So
Oh, right,
you
right.
know.
You just have to do the questionnaire twice this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if in doubt, just go do the questionnaire again. I think you know all the answers. Welcome. No, where's the voting? Yeah. See, you were right. Confusion abounds. Next is the transportation had a meeting with the CPG chairs for the 4 community planning groups in the mid-city area. And then they and also the Adams Avenue Business Association and the El Cajon Business Association for those bids. So the idea was to get ideas back from the community on where the priorities for spending were. I think the high points is that they're already doing a lot of work using parking meter money from the ones that have already been installed. Potholes apparently are a quick, cheap fix. I didn't know that, but resurfacing an entire street is very expensive. So those are those priorities. Sidewalks were mentioned quite a bit, as was the intersection at the Shell station at East Mountain View and Adams. That the lack of a crosswalk or any kind of pedestrian safety there is pretty severe. So I guess that feeds into the annual infrastructure priorities. So there's a request to fill out a spreadsheet of priorities for the community planning groups. Let's see if I can find that one. Share this as well. It's fairly medial. They just have different project ideas in the columns. Specific infrastructure project idea. Where is it located? How will it positively impact the community? And then the categorization for that, whether it's a park or library or pedestrian safety, those kinds of things. So they know which department to budget to put it in. So I think we could take different approaches. One is I thought we could just start gathering ideas in this session to start populating that, and then we can come back and revisit it on the next cycle. Yes,
Does it have to be done though before they do the budget?
does.
And they're doing the budget this month. Yeah. First.
It's true. Now we've submitted infrastructure priorities to them many times, and they know that they haven't changed.
Well, we also have an unfunded needs list,
Yeah.
right? So we could just put everything that's on the unfunded needs list that we want done. So that would be like the traffic light, the 805 32nd Street interchange. I think that was on the unfunded needs list, and there's a few other things as well that was on.
Okay, 32nd and 805. Is that the on-ramp?
Yeah, I'm putting a traffic light there instead of the stop signs. I think that was on there. Other people may have better recollections than I do. I believe that's already on the city's unfunded needs list.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say the crosswalk at West Mountain View and Adams, just keep poking at that one. And we have a list of sidewalks that we submitted with GIDs.
you have any record, you know, we were there, had that morning meeting to talk about infrastructure. Or how the parking meter money should be. We were there, I was at.
Yeah.
We kind of brainstormed in groups and you guys were there too. Do we have any record of the, because there was sort of consensus in that meeting. And what the neighborhood was most interested in.
There wasn't a consensus from that meeting, though.
Well, a lot of ideas and some of the other things were.
I mean, the ideas were pretty much the same about sidewalk conditions, traffic safety, tree trimming
Free planting,
and tree planting.
yeah.
So tree planting does come under transportation. So that is something we can,
So what is that, does that mean it could be a parking meter funds thing or it could be?
it could, but it will have to be, it would probably be on city land. They typically do the parkway trees is homeowner, but they've been, one suggestion was to extend the permit fee vacation for sidewalk repairs. I don't know, they used to have the free tree program. That's something that they should bring back.
Yeah, and that would be really good. Because a lot of parkway trees have been cut down by people who live
Yeah.
adjacent to the parkway and never replanted.
Were there any pocket parks that are needed? Yeah, they're like, where there's an empty lot, you can put in a park. There's one up on North Mountain View that overlooks the valley.
Is your idea of the one sort of on 30, I guess Cherokee, is that dead in the water? We had a great idea about it, there's a little space there
Right,
that we were trying, you know.
yeah, and those, that is considered a right of way that is part of the parcel that's owned by the property. It looks like a little park area, but it's actually just more
It could be,
right of way parkway.
so that means it's couldn't happen.
Actually, it would be good if the city were to take that land back, because they're not,
Just sitting.
it's too large.
Where is it?
It's where, you're south of Adams, where Cherokee does the little bend around and merges, there's a little mini market there. And they changed the configuration of that intersection, and now you have two sidewalks with, it looks like a little park in between them.
And there's,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Yeah,
and it's kind of, there's a sort of another street that goes there that ends up in one of the, I guess it's another one of the elementary schools.
okay.
So it'd be there too.
I'm gonna add the library as our Hail Mary. Because we do have an opportunity for two sites for some sort of development or public-private partnership.
A parking structure in the Rite Aid parking lot would be very cool.
A library would have parking. I presume, although
You could put the library right on the top.
yeah, eastern areas losing their parking lot for their library. It's on private property.
All after Matthew's done, someone has their hand up.
Okay. Yes, Paul Jameson.
Yeah, could I suggest maybe bulb outs at intersections to reduce crossing distance for pedestrians?
Yes,
In particular, like, go ahead.
yeah, Adams and West Mountain View is one. Do you have others?
What's the intersection where Rabbit Hole is, just after that, where the woman was severely injured and her dog, I think, was killed crossing the street?
It's 34.
Yeah. There's a red zone there now, and people just still park in that red zone. So I'm not sure how to block off those red zones somehow. At one point, they were going to put like scooter corrals there, but then the city got rid of scooters. So, and then just to kind of tie into the opening reflection, I think that's a great opening reflection about, prioritizing inclusive and equitable land use through pedestrian-friendly infrastructure, transit-oriented development, and affordable housing. There's nothing in that opening reflection about parking. And I know there's a variety of opinions about parking, but if we're talking about building new parking garages along Adams Avenue, maybe the opening reflection should be updated to say how parking garages sort of jibe with that reflection, or because to me that kind of contradicts. I know there's a variety of opinions, but I'm a little confused on the emphasis about parking all the time here versus what's in the opening reflection and the goals for the community. Thanks.
You make a good point, though. We should be looking at the transportation, especially the north-south across Mission Valley. Getting from here to the trolley station shouldn't be so difficult.
Good.
And how that would happen.
Yeah, I actually just pulled up an email from Alan about the unfunded needs. This is from a year ago or so. I'll forward it to you, but a lot of it's been done. There's a few of curb rank locations, streetlight upgrades, a few other sorts of things on there. So I can forward this email to you, or to the board generally. In fact, I'll do that right now.
Okay.
Forward. There we go.
Is the list prioritized or
Um,
ranked in some way?
I'm not sure. Let's see if I can figure it out.
Do we know if there's still, I don't know if this would be relevant, but I know there was an issue with the joint use field not being open. When it was supposed to be open, is that still an issue? Anyone?
Has that been brought up at Parks and Rec at all? No?
Not likely.
Okay.
I know they're using, the rec department is using that soccer field for their use.
I think the field gets booked heavily. But I haven't heard any complaints lately of being locked out. But I'm not sure about the other field down by Ward Canyon.
That's what I was talking about. They're using,
That one.
rec centers using.
Oh, they are, okay,
For soccer.
okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, cause I know when I lived closer to it, whenever I try to go, it would be locked, and I'd be like. It's the only place I
Yes.
can go to. So if that was still an issue, I would maybe bring that up, but I'm not sure if that's infrastructure improvement, but it's like the only part in that section of Ryan Heights, so.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
it's a school, those gates that you were talking about keeping open, they're always locked. Always. After the school,
Yeah.
it's a 6 program.
Maybe like funding someone that will check that the gates are open. Yeah.
Night watchman, yes.
I just a little bit of information, which you may already know, but Brian mentioned, curb ramps. You know, So something I learned this week, they're doing a lot of sewer and water replacement lines up in, the north part of, Normal Heights. And I was talking to one of the guys in a truck, and he told me that, as part of when they kind of do major work on the street like that, I guess it's probably state law or maybe federal, I don't know, they have to put, curb ramps in. Cause there are kind of none where I live at all, it's all old sidewalks, but they will be putting in, curb ramps at all the intersections now as part of this project, so that might be good news for us.
I think it's 34th and hopefully is missing 3 out of the 4 ramps.
Yeah, they're not, where I live, they're
And-
not 0.
That project said they were gonna put those in
Yeah, so apparently it's law, they have to do it
when they come by.
I think when they kind of dig up the street to the extent that they're doing, or they upgrade, I don't know what the law actually says,
Yeah.
but they're upgrading, and as part of that, they have to do this. So that could put us in better shape in terms of programs going forward.
Okay. Do we have a bicycle infrastructure meeting? I know that there's need is bike lane, Adams is a Shero. Is there anything that the transportation could do to improve that, just even with paint?
Just a really simple one on Felton and Adams. There's no sensor at that light for bikes. So if you're on a bike and unless if there's no car there, the light will turn for you. So yeah.
Okay,
That came up in our discussion about bike safety as well. Like redoing that light. So
okay,
there's an actual sensor for bikes.
oh, okay. The crosswalk at the 7-Eleven is in pretty bad shape across Holly, but I think that's going to get resurfaced with the project that's going on. I saw some covers on the drains.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if they're going to resurface it or just repaint it. Okay.
I think another thing could be traffic calming. I remember we had a couple meetings where we were talking about the one area, and I don't know the street name, where the city had said, we got data and people are really slow here. Whereas other people on the board, like
35th and Coldplay.
Yeah,
Everywhere the
35th
West
and
Mountain View
Arthur.
merge. Yeah.
Yeah, 35th and Arthur, yeah. That's
Arthur,
still,
yeah.
we still requested that, for a full way stop there. We haven't heard back from them. They told us like up to like 6 months or something to get back to us.
So all we really need there is stop signs.
Well, that's what we requested, either stop signs or something else to slow people down.
A bump,
Yeah, something.
something.
But stop signs were probably our best bet.
Yeah. That, do you say 35th and Mountain View?
Yeah, 35th Mountain
The
View,
first one.
Arthur, that 5-way interchange.
Oh, 35th and
Okay.
Arthur.
Yeah.
Five-way stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5-way stop, yeah. So we still haven't heard back from them.
Okay, and we do have, we were just offered, services of a, traffic engineer, I think. If you remember, Manny came and presented. And he has, someone that he wants me to meet that does traffic engineering, would do write-ups for free. So
Okay.
that's in the works, but of course, that won't make the budget season. But there'll be budget cycles. They'll have to do the battles.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
But I like the traffic calming idea on Adams in particular, trying to get people to slow down on Adams.
Are there any particular stretches on Adams?
Well, that stretch from like 34th to Cherokee. Right,
Okay.
or Felton to Cherokee, there's no light in between those.
Felton to Cherokee.
I mean, it's.
The other one is, the Holly north of Adams, north-south. It's a 1 mile stretch with no stop signs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and
Oh,
out there in the room.
in the room.
Yeah.
Oh.
And because they got a crosswalk in that section also, people cross at, like where the subway is all the time. There's no crosswalk
yeah.
between 35th and 36th.
Yeah, okay. Another wigwag. Punch the button, lights flash, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Actually, I think those crosswalks serve a nice way to kind of calm traffic down. It's a good reminder that this is a neighborhood with a lot of walkability,
Mhm.
so I think that in itself can serve both the people trying to cross and walk and be a calming measure.
And I've noticed that drivers are actually starting to know what they are. When they first put them in, people probably, including myself, would just blow right through it, not realizing that this was
Yeah.
something new.
Add like trolley.
So,
Sure.
but I get where you're headed. So if I think of a trolley on Adams, I'm really thinking last mile service, right? Because we have bus centers at El Cajon, we have bus centers in Mission Valley, but we don't have anything that can take you from, other than just the number 11 back and forth east-west. Are there dead spots that you feel like it's always very laborious to get to or point to point?
I mean, honestly, at first thing I'm thinking just anything, because I feel like I can't really get to a trolley stop without like driving farther than it makes sense to even drive there to begin with. So.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have like a recommendation for, like, I know that they're planning the purple line, I mean, that would be great. Or just a trolley along like El Cajon or even Adams. I mean, I think they're kind of like big goals, but I would say any of those. Yeah.
You're not alone in that sentiment.
Yeah, so.
Chat comments. Is there anyone online who wants to chime in?
I would,
Can I-
if I could, and I'm gonna be a broken record. It literally will take them just some buckets of paint to put a bike lane on Mountain View to narrow it so that we can get some slower drivers around here.
I like it.
I think that's in the plan. Like one of the master
Yeah.
plans, I think they have the bike lane plans over there.
So speaking of paint on the street, would T markers and parking be of any use?
Yeah.
Okay.
To slow traffic.
No, to define spaces so that, you know, you don't have somebody coming and parking in the mid, right between two driveways thinking it's one space when it's actually room for two. The downside on that is the spec for a parking space is oftentimes larger than what we actually use. Might be worth looking into before we ask. Maybe that's part of the parking discussion. Yeah. Okay. We'll scratch that for now. All right, well, I'll take all of these. If there's something that comes up that somebody hasn't thought of, email it to me. I'll make sure it gets onto the spreadsheet. And I'll bring in the data that we have, anything I can find from our previous that hasn't been finished off or done. And then I'll send that out, and our priorities are pretty much the same. So we really have our hotspots that we've been on about repeatedly. The Shell station crossing, it keeps coming up at the top of the list.
And
Oh, yes,
it's my first time here, so I'm not sure if it's a good question.
welcome.
You know, I just noticed, we live in Normal Heights here, and I just noticed when I go to Kensington and University Heights that things are just in better shape. And I just wondering, why is that? I mean, you have probably more population, at least, you know, in Kensington, and like their bridge looks nicer, their alleys look nicer, I mean, their freeway entrances look nicer. Are we neglected, or has anyone ever discussed this, or?
Well, it's a good question. And I have my own opinion, and then I have some historical background. So historically, redlining plays a part in it. We were less coastal, but we weren't part of the, further as you go further east and south in the city, you become more and more redlined, and those areas were traditionally underserved.
Okay.
And we were part of that, and that meant that our land value was very low in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, which is why you see a lot of the bungalows and single family homes were bulldozed for the apartment buildings that you see that have the nose in parking in the front, often called Huffman's. And those are, so there was this move to just create this sort of a apartment complex suburbia through that era. And then as you moved into the 90s and 2000s, most of the city funding went either to areas that had good representation in lobbyists and were the richer areas, or were identified as communities of concern. So there were grants and federal funding that would underwrite and pair with city funding for City Heights and Barrio Logan, rightfully so. But we always kind of landed in the middle. We were not rich enough for City Hall to be concerned with us, but not poor enough for grants and help. So kind of being in that middle spot, but that did open a door for affordable housing through the 80s and 90s and maybe up into 2000. So you do see a lot of academics, teachers, firefighters, community workers, musicians live here. That's part of the reason we have so much music here. Historically affordable. I wish that was still the case.
Yeah, well, it's not cheap here now, so maybe you were not represented enough then still, or?
Yes, and so that's what this room is trying to do is give our community a voice
Yeah,
at City Hall. And I think that we don't have a lot to lose in terms of speaking up. Some communities, developers want to come in and build and they have a stronger voice. I think that here we're already pretty much infilled. Land values are pretty high. So to build and develop here, we're not in that sweet spot where somebody wants to build an office tower or apartment tower. So we might as well make the noise. We have nothing to
They're
lose.
better maintained, in Kensington.
Yeah.
And University Heights, even when you come up the hill, they have beautiful, stones and, and it
Right.
just seems like we've been taken for granted here. So,
It also, some of that depends on if they're a tourist destination.
yeah,
So a lot of North Park is tourist destination along University Avenue. Hillcrest is tourist destination. We try to be.
same property taxes.
We have our music festivals.
Yeah,
Those are big. So yeah, welcome to the fight.
yeah.
Well, thanks. And another.
Yes.
I think, in places like, Kensington and Mission Hills, the percentage of home ownership is much, much higher
Yeah,
than it is at the place.
right.
And
Yeah.
that makes a difference.
Mhm.
It's true. What is it like?
Well,
We're like 60.
Here?
Yeah, 60% or higher on renters,
ownership? No, it's 30%.
30%.
65, 35.
35 home ownership, 65 net, yeah.
Okay.
Whereas I suspect, I mean, you would know, I was in Kensington.
Oh, I don't know, that's not part of my purview.
Well, I would hazard a guess, it's 80 or 90%,
So there are demographics that are filed by each of the CPGs on what's the makeup of the community. So if you wanted to delve deeper into
Yeah.
that,
Yeah,
Just
probably. I mean,
email me,
it
I'll-
doesn't seem right to me that you go to the bridge over here or over there, it's looking much nicer. But, I mean, I guess even if we have renters, someone owns it, I mean, so it's still expensive here,
right.
We're still paying the same percent property taxes,
We have a lot of people here. I think, what, 40,000? Yeah. So there are as many people living in Normal Heights as there is in all of La Jolla, going from Bird Rock all the way up to La Jolla Shores. And we're probably about a third of the square footage, right? So, but we have a lot of voters.
Yeah,
And it doesn't matter if you're a renter or homeowner, you're a voter. And so we can exercise our voice here.
so what do we do about something like that, or have you already done things?
We keep trying to push. We're pushing for, Art was here earlier. I don't know if you saw him.
Yeah.
He pushed for street sweeping because the alley dirt keeps going out into the streets. Also alley conditions, and we did a sidewalk survey and we put in the top offenders for repairs. Now we're putting in infrastructure priorities.
Are you communicating with the city for that, or?
Absolutely. Transportation, city council. We have representatives for Parks and Recreation, libraries. So we're always kind of tugging on their sleeve, but the more of you that are in the room, the more
Yeah,
power that is to tug on their sleeve. Especially in the budget fights.
yeah.
That's where rubber hits the road, literally. Yes.
Quick question. Add on to that. The underground or setting up the underground lighting or the power lines that, I mean, we moved here in this area in 2016. They said 2025, it was, I don't know, starting, happening. Is there a status update?
I think we should jump ahead in the agenda and do the undergrounding
Yeah, well,
update. Go ahead.
well, all I know at this point has been moved again. According to, and this is not official, but I was talking again to one of these work groups, so working up a, really a fight with Normal Heights. And, the sense I got that we're still a year or two away
From
So-
even starting.
from even starting, yeah.
They are surveying now though, right? I think I've seen them surveying. No,
That was SDG&E.
that was,
That was safety.
okay, okay.
And
So,
how long,
and-
once they start, and how long till the project's completed?
I have no idea, sorry.
Mike?
I'm still hoping to get, you know, have a vote on what you mentioned about the special, were you talking about having nicer, some nicer lights? We were aware of that. And you're not,
No.
there's a
Well-
sort of subcommittee here is trying to, but we haven't, I don't know, we haven't moved on it very quickly at all, but yeah, I think it's gonna be an uphill battle trying to ask people to put, you know, increase their, property taxes even more to have, you know, acorn lane. You know, I think it's tough. And
So there's a choice of having,
It's
what they call the Cobra lamp hangs over, or the acorn light, like you see on Adams Avenue, it's so more decorative lamp post.
Check the acorn.
Is
The
it,
acorn is like the historical lights.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
or
We-
his replica, yeah.
The idea is that we have, you know, looked into having those kinds of lights installed at intervals in the area that is going to be undergrounded someday. But it would cost an additional, I mean, it's cheapest to do it when they're doing the underground. However, it's still expensive, and that additional cost would be passed on to an individual property owners. And we've got sort of a handle on that, what that would be, but that also keeps moving in the amount.
Is that everywhere or just on Adams?
Well, the area that's gonna be done first is kind of the northeast corner of Normal Heights, so it's kind of north of like Collier and then kind of east of 33rd and there's a kind of bulging shape.
Okay.
And and they divided Normal Heights into 4 quadrants, sections. And, that's the area they chose to tackle first.
Yeah.
But they first started talking about, you're right, it was 2019. I mean, they were ready to go in 2019, and then we had COVID, everything ground to a halt or something.
COVID did put it, COVID slowed it. I believe they're coming in at the north end there because that's where the power comes in from, and then they'll build from there, kind of spreading south and east. Yeah, and it's supposed to go the whole area. Actually, all of San Diego is supposed to eventually be undergrounded. To give you a little context, the very first community plan for the mid-cities was done in 1967. And one of the suggestions in there was putting the power lines underground.
It was town done, wasn't it?
I don't know.
In the 90s, maybe?
I don't know. Yes.
For your edification, in 1989, there was a full spread in the Union Tribune, colorized and everything, 2 pages, that said undergrounding is on the way, and Normal Heights was supposed to have been done within 3 years. And we got put back for La Jolla, we got put back for Kearny Mesa, we got put back for several other places over the years. So since 1987, we were supposed to have been done.
So that feeds back into your original question.
Why?
Why?
Kind of with that, I was gonna ask, I mean, the street in particular, I think of West Mountain View, north of Adams, is in bad shape and is trying to drive on. And is taking care of the streets, like just redoing, not just like little stopgap things like pothole things and stuff, but redoing the streets. Does that have anything to do with the underground power line?
We were told in 2019 well, West Mountain View has been atrocious for about the last 10 years. And we were told at the time that they weren't gonna do anything for West Mountain View because they were gonna tear the street up, put the undergrounding in, and they weren't gonna fix the street until the undergrounding was done.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Well, it's interesting because the same thing applies now to just the water and sewer work that they're doing. I was told by this gentleman who works for the company that's doing it, they're not, normally they would resurface the streets when they finish, you know, redoing the sewer, redoing the water, they will completely, resurface the street, but they've been told by the city not, don't do that because, we're just gonna dig it up again for underground and design things in. So, I mean, maybe undergrounding really is gonna happen, I don't know, or we're gonna have the streets that we have for another 10 years, I don't know.
so they're just not gonna do anything with their resurfacing streets until they do underground.
Well, I don't think so. I mean,
And there's
I mean,
no idea when that will start through.
It
Okay,
doesn't seem so, given that they're having budget problems.
Yeah. Fortunately, the budget is mostly from the utility companies, right?
For the street?
For the underground.
For the underground, yes, but.
Yeah.
But the repair of the streets afterward, would that be also paid for by the SDG?
I believe it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they passed an ordinance that said if you dig up the street, you have to repave it. And then that's when they started doing micro trenching so that they wouldn't have to tear up the percentage of street that would trigger
right,
paving the whole thing.
yeah, of course.
Yes, Ramey.
I understand that gentleman's frustration with West Mountain View, but he should be glad that he lives on West Mountain View because that's the only street in Normal Heights that people don't race down.
I don't live exactly.
At this point, the potholes are our speed traps. Yes. Okay, well, if we have no further comment, let's move into the community plan update and the SB9 alternative transportation oriented development overlay. And we took a look at this last month. I'll go ahead and share it out. Okay. So just as a refresher, SB 79 is the state law that is increasing the floor area ratio or density that can be built when you're near high quality transportation services. So if it's heavy rail, if it is a trolley station, or it is multiple bus lines that have a certain frequency, then the areas around those transportation services, they want to encourage increased development and density so that people can live there and not have to use a car, or even maybe own a car. So within these, you'll see a map further on, but the zones in the SB 79 are in kind of concentric circles. So you have a 200-foot from the station, which is basically you're building on top of the station, and there's no limit. So if you have a train station, you can go up as high as you want. And then within the 1/4 mile, you have, and these figures are reversed, I'm sorry, but it would be a 3.0 FAR. So that means if you have 1,000 square feet of lot space, you can have 3,000 square feet of building on that lot. Now, obviously you can't build out to the edges. So the FAR number is a rough equivalent to the height of the building because you have to come in from the edges of the lot. So 3.0 FAR really means you can have 3, maybe 4-story building. And a 2.5 means you can have 2 to 3 stories. We also have an overlay program in San Diego called Complete Communities that allows, along what they call transportation corridors, to have a very high floor area ratio, usually around 8. So that's why you see a lot of these mid-rise buildings that have gone up in North Park and in Hillcrest, and they're usually a concrete podium, first floor, maybe 2 floors with 5 stories of wood framing on top. They're often called 5/1s. And they're pretty dense construction, but those are allowed in complete community zones, which are for us, it would be along El Cajon Boulevard and then also along Adams Avenue. So in those areas, they're allowed by city code to have much higher limits than what is in SB 79. So SB 79 mostly has no effect on most areas in San Diego because we've already increased the amounts that are allowable. But within SB 79, it allows for some trading of the SB 79 increases. So you can push an SB 79 downwards up to 50%, or you could double it. So you can take one zone, you push it down and say, well, that's kind of, there's a lot of single family homes there, and I want to preserve those little cottages. I'm gonna push it down there, but I'll let you have more over here where it's where there's already a lot of commercial properties. So not overly important for normal heights, which you'll see this map is showing you the S15 north-south through the center, and El Cajon laterally left, right, or east-west across the middle. So that's normal heights where all those arrows are pointing. And then you have Kensington Talmadge on the other side of the freeway. They're very interested in keeping the area that's light green up at the top there as low as possible. But then as you get down towards El Cajon, making that area increase. So within this map, and I'm not sure if there's any shading difference here. The area that is 1 block north and south of El Cajon is within complete communities. And so those areas already have a zoning of, they can go up 8 stories. This is a close-up of our normal heights area. So we currently have this area that's south of Ward Canyon Park. If you're familiar with that little Cherokee Loop that feeds onto Madison Avenue, that area is RM11 and RM12, which means that it can have apartment buildings and has a floor area ratio of 1.25. So typically you see 2-story apartment buildings through that area. The area at the very far south end along El Cajon Boulevard is already zoned with CUPD CT23 and RM 2-5, but is under complete communities, so those can go up to 8 stories. So what SB 79 would do is increase the zoning within this area that's shaded in green there in the middle. It would increase it up to 2.5 or 3 floor area ratio. But then we could do horse trading like Kensington's doing and say we want to keep the 1.25 in that area, and we'll shift the area along El Cajon that's under complete communities upwards. But since they're already, if you take the SB 79 number of 3.0 and you double it, you get to 6, but complete communities already says 8. So there's no net effect. Where it would have an effect is if they ever repealed complete communities, it would fall back to a 6, not fall back to a 2.5 or 1.25. So if we decide to suggest retaining the area between Monroe, Madison and Meade as a 1.25 and give more density towards El Cajon, then our zoning would be more in alignment with what's being asked for on the other side of the freeway. So it has no real net effect for us, but I think it does make for cohesive zoning for a developer who's looking at an area along the freeway. And they would go, well, if I'm on the west side or the east side, it's the same zoning. I think it would be a little strange if they were like east and west of the freeway. It's already kind of a mishmash of zoning, but I think it would help keep the zoning the same or similar on each side of the freeway.
Paul's having it.
Hmm?
Paul's having it.
Oh, yes. Paul, you have some input here, please.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off. You were still going there, but I'll just say quickly about the Kensington Green area. I live in that area, and yes, most of my neighbors want to keep it as low density as possible. I just wanted to say that there are some people like myself who acknowledge that that green is due to the red zoning you talked about earlier. And in case anybody doesn't know, that was about keeping like non-white people out of our neighborhoods, right? So we basically just replaced that with single family zoning. I just feel like all neighborhoods should do their fair share to address the housing crisis, not just areas that are, near El Cajon Boulevard. So I'm not calling for skyscrapers to be built on my street, but I am just off Adams Avenue. I feel like we could go a little higher density. We could accept some mixed use housing in our neighborhood, just like Normal Heights has. So just wanted to make that statement. And then really quick, there is some discussion right at the last city meeting about SB 79 about adding additional stops along El Cajon Boulevard to the SB 79 list that's going to be determined by Sandag. But just wanted to point out that in theory, you'd have another circle around 35th Street and El Cajon, if I understand correctly, if Sandag decided, yes, those are rapid transit stops. Is that correct, Paul?
Yes, that's a good point. That is a very recent change. It was proposed that the buses that go down El Cajon have a dedicated lane and therefore qualify as high quality transit, extending from Park, I think, all the way to the 15, maybe even beyond. So there may be adding more additional zones. And again, the net effect is that complete communities overrides and extends beyond what SB 79 would provide along that corridor. So no net effects for SB 79 either way, whether we go with asking for an alternate transportation oriented development area, the TOD, or if we just go with what's on the table. The only reason I lean towards this plan is for alignment with Kensington and Tomash, because they've done a write-up on that and they're going to request it. So I guess, Paul, do you have any information on the townhome zoning that might come up? Because that would probably increase density within our area and would be kind of an attractive deal because those would be for sale units.
Yeah, good point. Are you referring to the Mid-City Community Plan Update, Plan 2? Option 2 that we looked at last time, or the Housing for All initiative, which I think there's a Zoom meeting coming up that I'm going to attend?
I think it's more of a zoning change to allow townhomes in the RM zones. So that they can build, instead of building like the Huffman six pack, they could actually build a townhome with the garages underneath and have them for sale.
Yeah, Homes for All of Us.
Yeah, that must be the program. Yeah.
There's a Zoom coming up about that, and if I can find the link, I will put it into chat if that helps. But you're right. I think that level, that scale would be much more appealing to my neighbors and other folks in single family neighborhoods. And there'd be a lot less fighting, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So also in my own opinion, developers are not very attracted to these lots that are in the south part of Normal Heights because the lot sizes are very small. That means they have to buy 2, 3, 4 lots before they're able to build anything significant. You know, 2,500 square foot lot, you can't go up more than 2 stories. It's just not possible. So
Good point.
I don't think we're gonna see a lot of change in the area one way or the other, except along El Cajon Boulevard, and that'll be under complete communities. So I guess, I would put a motion on the table that, that we sign on to or agree that, to have the same plan as what Kensington Talmadge is proposing. They have more zones within their plan. They have RM 17, 18. I mean, it's just, they're a mess over there. We only have 3. So it's easy for us to sort of shoehorn on and just say, whatever you do over there, you can do on the other side of the freeway as well. That's kind of long-winded for a motion.
There's a question.
Yes,
As part of the motion, if I remember correctly, too, is part of the adopting of SB 79 to do it as a phased-in adoption versus already implemented. And going along with the theme of being a more active neighborhood, I would be a proponent of whichever way we decide or the board decides to implement it now and be more proactive and show we're, you know, really active in the city and having an actual hand in the changes.
okay, so alternate TOD plus the immediate non-phased approach.
Yes. Just for discussion.
And you live directly in that area, if I recall.
Yeah, I live right by the Cherokee Market where that loop is.
I think we have our spokesperson for the area.
And then back to the theme that the gentleman was bringing up. I'm a proponent of density. I think we need to play a part in affordable housing.
Okay,
But I am new to the neighborhood and I think the alternate vision also coupled with the fact that it's most likely not gonna make much of a difference, I think would be a great compromise for the community as a whole. New residents versus old residents who may not want to see as much change. So I think we're already doing a great part with Adams Avenue and El Cajon. And I've been to a few meetings already and I really like how our community actually does encourage density. So adopting the alternate, even though would technically lower density in that small subsection, I think could be a good compromise.
excellent. Have you considered being on the board here?
Yeah.
Good. Excellent, thank you.
Jonathan Rivas. Jonathan Rivas.
John Vivas. I'll make sure you get a form for application. You come here, you get vultured. I know that's.
My background, I was educated in urban planning at UCSD, and then I work in commercial real estate. I'm a first-time homeowner in the neighborhood, so.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
We need more voices like this. So that's the motion is to pair with Kensington Talmadge TOD, but with the recommendation of faster and sooner.
I'll second the motion.
Brian seconds. Any discussion? Take it to a vote.
How would
Oh.
we, sorry, how would we go faster? How would that? Well, let's see that part of it.
You know, that's a good question. What do you know about the phased-in approach?
Just remember the presentation from the last meeting and the phased-in approach, I'm not sure what that would really entail. But just by definition, phased-in would be lagging. But if we already have a decision where the community has a direction.
Yeah.
Might as well be proactive.
You know, one thing I like about the not phasing it in is we're in the middle of doing the community plan update and they want to have it done by the end of the year. And if they phase this in, then we're in a horse race of, is it in the community plan or not? We don't know which guide to use. Paul Jameson, do you have any opinion on that?
I'm going to leave it up to all of you. I think you had a really thoughtful discussion here and, weighed the pros and cons. And I don't live in the area, so I'm going to, I live in Kensington. I'm going to leave it up to Normal Heights folks.
But you bike down Adams, so that's good enough.
I do.
Okay, well then let's take it to a vote to join Kensington on their letter. All in favor? That looks pretty unanimous. Thank you. Next up is parking solutions. And I'll start with falling on my sword. I thought that I had missed sending the letter, panicked, sent it, and then found out we hadn't voted on it. So it's been retracted. And Brian has two letters. One is about parking in front of your own driveway, and the other one is, I believe, on the permits.
No, I'm Holly.
On the Holly. Oh, the nose in parking on Holly. Okay. Please.
Yeah, so both of these are proposals to use our existing street space more efficiently to create more parking spaces. So starting with the one on Holly, so in North Park, they have a couple of streets where they have parallel parking on one side and they have head-in perpendicular parking on the other side. So like Kansas Street, Ohio Street, Illinois Street, there's a few others as well, right? And you can do that if the street's wide enough. Holly is a 50-foot wide street. So if you do the math, the parallel parking takes about 8 feet on one side. Head-in parking space is about 18 feet, right? So figure that's with 26 feet. And at least 24 feet for the actual space that you drive in the road. So it should be wide enough by my calculation, by my thinking, it should be wide enough to actually have head-in parking. Now, when you do head-in parking, you have to have 4 feet in between the parking spaces and a driveway, right? So I sort of used Google Maps and sort of did the math and did rough estimates of exactly how many spaces it would create. And so if we did it on the west side of the street, head-in parking on the west side of the street, see, I have the numbers here. It was
here's your map.
Oh, yeah. So there were currently 43 spaces, that's for parallel parking. And if we went with head-in parking, it would be 77, roughly. Again, those numbers may not quite be right. I was just sort of eyeballing it using the measuring thing on Google Maps or whatnot. So I think it can be done. I do know that the streets like Ohio Street and Kansas Street and Illinois Street in North Park are 52 feet wide. So maybe the city may give us a hard time because they think that you need more than 24 feet in the roadway. Because of course, when you have hidden parking, you have to be able to back out and turn, which I would think 24 feet would be enough to do that, but maybe the city thinks differently. The city did say they examined putting in angled parking on Holly between Adams and Collier in 2018. We asked for the report and they said we can't find it. So they couldn't tell me any information about what they did, why they did it, whatever. So that report decided that it wasn't worth it because it wouldn't create enough spaces, but they were looking at angled parking. And of course, angled parking is, it's head-in parking, you have like 9 feet in the width of the space. Angled parking is actually more than 9 feet. So when you have a lot of driveways, it makes angled parking really, really hard, which is why the head-in parking would make more sense given the number of driveways. So I don't know if the city will, if there's something I'm missing that maybe the city won't do this for some reason, or rather they can't do it on Holly. But I think it's worth trying just to see, because we do have a lot of other streets that are really wide, particularly the north-south streets between El Cajon and Madison. Many of those are over 50 feet wide, 50 feet wide or bigger as well. So I chose Holly just because it seems like a good test case to see if the city would actually allow this or not, and whether it's feasible. And they may say no, they may say you can't do it, whatever, but I think it's useful just to see. I mean, adding 30-something spaces in that particular area will make a big difference, especially for the businesses on Adams, right? So I know that stretch of Holly there's rarely ever any parking because you get a lot of parking for people on, who are going to the businesses on Adams. So it would make a big difference if we can do it. So that's the first proposal. The second proposal is
Before you go
to,
on to the
Okay.
second one, would this increase the number of metered spaces?
so it looks like the city just went meters in the first, like the first 20 feet or so from Adams,
Okay.
right? So I don't think so, because if the yard gym is on the corner of Adams and Hawley, and I don't think there's actually parking there. I think it's, I think for daylighting, there's no parking for 20 feet, and then I think there's a driveway or something.
Yeah.
So I don't think that there would be any metered spaces there, maybe one or two, but yeah, I don't think there would be. So. Okay, so the second one, and we can have a discussion about both of these in a minute, is this idea that was brought up a couple of weeks ago with allowing residents to get permits to block in front of their driveway. And I don't know, Paul, if you can just pull up the picture from the proposal there. The state of California actually allows cities to allow people to do this, where basically you can park on the street blocking your own driveway. So it basically gives you an extra space in front of your driveway. And what I try to do in the proposal is to sort of lay out how it would actually work. Oh, there it is. Right, so this is like my neighbor's house. I actually don't have a driveway on the street, but you have the driveway there. It would allow you to park on the street, blocking your own driveway. And so I tried to lay out like how this practically could actually work. And so the idea is that a property owner, whether it be a homeowner or the owner of an apartment building or even a business owner, would ask the city for a permit to block a specific driveway. And you have one permit per driveway, and the permit would be attached to that specific driveway, right? So it's like basically the owner of the driveway would be able to get one permit for that driveway. And the permit would be like a placard they would put in the car. And the placard would say, this permit entitles this car to park in front of whatever driveway, whatever the address happens to be. I think we need to make it clear that it's not a permit to block the sidewalk, right? So people may think that they can park in their driveway and block the sidewalk. We obviously don't want to see that. This is just for street parking in front of their driveway. So I think to make this work, you'd only allow for one permit per driveway. And then whoever has that permit then can park in front of that driveway with this placard. Parking enforcement would know that it would be legal because they would see the placard and so forth. To my knowledge, this hasn't been done in San Diego. I believe it's been tried in a neighborhood or two in Los Angeles. And I think maybe one or two neighborhoods in San Francisco as well. And so most residents won't have much value out of this, right? Because most homeowners have, enough parking space off street that they're not going to need to block their own driveway. But there are some people who have like 2 parking spaces in their driveway. They have 3 cars. Of course, you may have guests. If you have, an ADU behind your house, you may actually have 3 or 4 or 5 cars in that particular, for that particular property, for that one particular driveway. So I don't think a lot of people wouldn't necessarily find this useful. And of course, even if you're blocking your own driveway, it means that you have to move that car to get the other cars out of the driveway and so forth. But there may be some people where this could be incredibly valuable, right? Especially if you live in one of those blocks in the neighborhood where parking is really hard to find. If you come home late at night and you can never find a parking space on your street, this would be perfect for you to park and block your driveway. I'd also note that driveway widths vary a lot in the neighborhood, right? So there are some driveways that are really narrow, they're like 8 feet, and you can just barely fit a car in. But actually, a lot of driveways are much wider. A lot of driveways flare out at the end. Like my neighbor's driveway, for example, you can't see it because their car's in front. But that actually flares out at the end. It's almost big enough for an entire car, right? And, you know, usually for a lot of times you have a little bit of space on either side because other cars don't need all that space. So, yeah, for some people, if they have really narrow driveways, it's not gonna be really useful, but for people who have bigger driveways, it could be valuable. So I don't think that like everybody's gonna need this or find it valuable, but even if only like 10% of homeowners find this program to be useful and are parking in front of their driveways, well, that adds up and that generates a lot of extra spaces elsewhere on the street that are freed up for other people. So, and of course, the costs are fairly minimal. I just don't think that, you know, it's gonna, you know, it would be that hard to administer this. And the idea is that we tried like a pilot program, that be like a guinea pig, that we would try this in Normal Heights to see how it would work. Maybe after a year, we would assess the program, maybe survey homeowners to see if there's a problem, to see if there's a problem within parking enforcement or whatever, and then to see whether it's worthwhile to keep it or so forth. So I think it's an idea worth trying just to see how it plays out. So those are the two proposals I have.
Here's an example of the flare. And I think this is a two lane driveway. And considering that cars are not supposed to park within, I think it's a few feet of that flare.
Yeah.
You probably could fit two cars in front of a two lane driveway.
I do think to keep it simple, even in those cases, there's a lot of apartment buildings that have like driveways that are big enough for two cars. Just to keep it simple, we should only allow one permit per driveway. It just seems like it makes it more complicated. And the city's got to figure out, well, how wide it needs to be and everything else. It just seems simpler to say one permit per driveway and that's it.
Brian, you said this has been tried in LA or San Francisco.
I think so, but on a very limited basis. I think I saw somewhere there's like one or two neighborhoods where it was tried. Like, no, I don't think anybody in California has tried it like on a citywide basis, right?
Do you know if there's been successes, challenges, reactions?
I couldn't find anything on it. Yeah, I just found some brief mention of it, but I really couldn't find anything detailed about it.
You know who would know, Manny, the presentation on this, he'll have the stats and the examples.
Yeah.
They do it in Westwood, LA, but the way that they do it is they'll have people like double park. So they'll have one person park and then they'll have another person park behind that car. But you need to leave space for the sidewalk, but you can like take like the edge of the driveway and then like that section of the road for people like parallel parking.
Okay.
So they do it like head in instead of horizontal.
So
Just because parking is like.
And they have wider parkways.
right. You need a wide parkway
have a
for that. It
4-foot.
wouldn't work for us because the parkway.
We have a 4-foot parkway.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting. I didn't know that.
good to know. Yes.
So I've been thinking about this since our last meeting. I have a couple real concerns.
Right.
So at the moment, the law's very clear. You can't park across the driveway. If someone's parked across the driveway, it's illegal. Once there's a possibility that you could park across the driveway. Of course, some people will get permits, but other people, my point is, anyone can then park in front of anyone's driveway. Of course, they risk getting a ticket, but there's very little enforcement, as we know, of anything in the city. So I can imagine scenarios where you come home late at night, this seems to be the thing. And your driveway is blocked by an unknown car. You then have to deal with, either finding somewhere else to park or calling the police who may come, a week later. Conversely, I can imagine you need to go to work and you're trying to back out of your driveway and there's an unknown car parked across your driveway. And again, you're stuck, you have to call the police or tow truck or whatever. The second part of this that I really object to is there's bound to be a fee associated with this. And once again, the residents of San Diego are going to be financially punished for the fact that developers have overbuilt and created, so much such density with no parking. And now, not providing parking, and now, and they're not, obviously paying developer impact fees either. And now, the residents will have to pay, I mean, hopefully it wouldn't be a huge fee, but I mean, you know, we will be funding this in order to provide parking, which is not being provided by developers. I mean, it's just, I'm, you know, sorry, I think I'm in no.
I agree with all of your points as well. I also have a single lane driveway myself, and I have red paint on either side because it is so narrow. And if someone parks too closely, I could easily sideswipe their car. People don't even honor that. And so I think, to your point, like having cars parked in front of driveways, like I think that opens up a lot of risk of bad behavior and makes some difficulties there. I do like the idea of the head-in parking on Holly. I think that makes a lot of sense to me, but I have a lot of the same concerns on the permitting for both those reasons.
For both those, yeah.
Yeah, the
I can see
fees
someone
and
getting completely stuck, not
bad
being able to
behavior
get into their
potential.
driveway or out of their driveway. Because some law breaking person, of which there are.
Yeah.
I got two. John.
Most of the lots in Normal Heights are 45 to 50 feet. There's very few lots that are over 50 feet. If you have a driveway, that cuts your street parking down to 40 feet, which is 2 cars. Now, I know in my neighborhood up there on North Mountain View, if you park 2 cars in front of your house between your driveway and your neighbor's driveway, and your neighbor has 2 cars or 3 cars or whatever, those cars fill up that spot. And there's no way you're gonna park in front of your driveway because your car is gonna be too big, because it's gonna hang out on both sides. And if they put the T markings on the street, then that's gonna, people are not gonna back bumper to bumper. So then your parking in front of your driveway is not gonna work at all. It's
Okay.
mathematically impossible.
So the driveway standard is 12 feet plus 1 foot each side for the apron, makes 14 feet for the front.
I want to address all this, but maybe not.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess looking at it, I see where you're coming from. But looking at it, there's nothing about why right now is it illegal to block a driveway? And one of the big things is EMS, firefighters, ambulances need to be able to access through a driveway. And so I know that that might cause some issues if there's nothing addressing that in this.
Yeah, so let me address this. For that last point, I mean, of course, there are cars in the driveway, so I'm not sure necessarily that it would make that big of a difference, but maybe it could. I could plausibly see the city raising that objection. I hadn't really thought about that, but I mean, because of, yeah, I'm not sure really. As to John's point, so if you, the lot widths are generally the same to the neighborhood, but oftentimes what you get is you'll have like, I saw this on Holly actually when I was doing the other proposal, is you have like a driveway on the right side of one lot and then, or the left side of one lot and the right side of the other lot. So you actually get like 90 feet in between driveways. There are actually some of those, there are a lot of those in the neighborhood. For example, in front of my house, there's actually one that's even bigger than that because I don't have a driveway on the street, I have a driveway on the alley. So I actually think that it's not a standard 40 feet in between driveways. And in fact, what you get in a lot of places, you may have like, 45 feet where you can fit like 2.5 cars. In which case you may get now, again, for some streets, for some areas, you're absolutely right, it won't work. There are some driveways that you'll never get enough space to actually park in front of it. But I think in other ones that you plausibly could. It just really is gonna vary a lot depending on the actual lot sizes, depending on where the driveways are located and so forth. Getting to the other points, I see the point that the hypothesis is plausible that this would lead to more bad behavior. I actually don't think so. I agree completely. Some people already block driveways. I mean, it happens all the time. It'll continue to happen. I'm not sure it's gonna happen more. We can certainly see, and again, this is the point of doing a pilot project. If that does happen, then absolutely we wouldn't continue it, right? If you do see a lot more bad behavior, I mean, it's plausible. it's possible that people will see individuals legally blocking their own driveway, think, well, I can block other people's driveway. It's also possible that people, like, common sense will prevail and that most people realize that blocking other people's driveways is not a good idea. And the handful of people that don't have that common sense, they're already doing it, right, as you suggested. So I'm not sure it's gonna get worse in the point there. The other point about overdevelopment, yeah, we haven't planned things out, but like, there's nothing we can do about that. And I just.
My point, Brian, was that, sorry to interrupt you, but my point was that this will be a case where the residents will be asked to pay for something because of the impact that development has had.
Yeah.
You know, development has created a parking shortage, and now we are gonna be asked to pay, you know, to have permits that we never used to have to have. And I just think that's kind of wrong.
No one would be forced to have a permit. So no one would have to pay anything if they don't want to. So no one would be worse off, right? So it would be, people would voluntarily ask for a permit. They wouldn't be like required to get one or anything. So people don't want to get a permit, they don't get a permit. And most people probably won't. Again, my guess is maybe 10% of residents will, there's a random number, but a small percentage will actually find this useful and say, oh, yeah, getting a permit would be worth it for me. Most people will probably say, no, not worth it, I'm not gonna do it. And that's perfectly fine. It doesn't need to be everybody doing it.
Could it be free? Could it be something that if you are the homeowner and it's just, you apply for that permit, but it's something that's granted to you and not?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It should be free, but you're right. The city probably will require it. Debate
I would
something.
imagine that the city will. I would imagine that the city would want to recover their administrative costs.
Yeah, they
At a
probably.
minimum. And then they would probably want to have it as a revenue source. And in exchange for allowing you to have your liberties.
Brian, if there's a way to
But I-
get more information on how this has been done at other, like, I'd be
Yeah.
interested to see that, because rather than taking it out on a pilot and potentially not being able to reverse bad behavior through a pilot, I'd rather see if we could learn through other cities.
Yeah.
Pros or cons first.
I would like to address the build versus public-private property. So if you think of the property line going to the center of the street, then that's the private property, but then there's the commons, which is the public good, and that's the right of way, which extends by a percentage from the center of the street, and sometimes it even comes up into people's front yards. And that allows the street to exist, the sidewalk, the parkway, utilities, and parking. And so the parking ends up being, street parking is part of the commons. But then you have instances where the Huffmans were installed and they pulled parking from the public commons onto private property, thus stealing that space from the public good. This is sort of a reverse of that, to say there's public commons, but it's fallow land that cannot be used because of an ordinance, and we're going to allow the property owner that is in that commons to make use of that fallow land, so thus increasing inventory. So I'll get off my soapbox. And Paul Jameson.
Yep, I think trying to be creative about parking really makes a lot of sense, and this is one way to do it. I think we're kind of skipping over why the city removed parking requirements, off-street parking requirements near transit. It's to make the housing more affordable, right? And we really have like a major affordable housing crisis, but it sounds like the parking shortage is sort of taking priority over that. For those of us who already own homes, maybe are close to paying them off, I can get why the parking might be more important than the housing. But for a lot of younger people who are like leaving San Diego in mass because they can't afford to live here, I think let's prioritize the affordable housing. And, let's say we did build all this off-street parking for some, for less than 25,000 a space, right? That's what it costs for like underground parking. And we did it cheap and for free. What about all the traffic congestion that results? I just think that like focusing so much on creating all this off-street parking, which this doesn't do, right? This maximizes on-street parking, really creates more problems. We got to start thinking beyond just parking solving every problem. And like, I know unfortunately, San Diego, you have to have a car to get around right now, but like creating a whole bunch of new off-street parking isn't going to help us get towards better alternatives to driving. And so if I could, just trying to bring that up, and I'm going to go back to the opening reflection, we're focusing on affordable housing, pedestrian friendly infrastructure, and yet we spend so much time talking about parking and maybe trying to maximize making developers create expensive off-street parking. It just seems to conflict with the opening reflection, and maybe it should be updated if parking is indeed more important than housing, which is what I'm kind of hearing from some folks. So, but thank you for going through this issue and being creative about addressing these parking challenges.
And I would say that if transportation friendly solutions are the goal of the city, then if we should propose this and say, as an alternate to parking in your own driveway, we would like to have 2 more bus lines.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's kind of ironic that that presentation, I looked at Ride SD, that
Yeah.
man came and presented this whole idea about across the driveway parking. And there's their mission apparently is advocating for more public transit. So.
Yeah.
And I think you're onto something there.
What if we requested that any fees the city collects from the additional parking permits are required to go towards public transit funding?
Well,
In the neighborhood where the permits are.
well, then I would pay 10% more on my parking permit. I mean, my current situation is a garage, which was built for a Model T. I can fit a Mini Cooper in there, if I get rid of the washing machine. So, and the driveway's too short, so I've tried to park in the driveway and got a ticket for hanging over onto the sidewalk. So that means that entire section of street where the driveway is would be like, that's where I park if I'm in a hurry and I want to run inside. So in my own personal stinginess or, on my own benefit, I like it. Because it does provide an additional space in front of the house.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can also make the fee just administrative. I think that's fair. The fee's not too high, it covers the paperwork, right? I don't know if there's any leverage.
Was there?
I was just gonna say that's a good compromise, again, with the compromise.
Okay. Transportation. Are there any actions that we want to do?
Well, I'll pull this one and see if I can find more information on what it's been tried. I think that's reasonable. I couldn't find anything, but I can try to dig deeper and maybe I'll contact Manny and see if he's got.
Yeah.
If he has some idea. So I'll pull we won't vote today on the block your own driveway one. Any discussion on the Holly, heading on Holly one?
I'm in favor of that. That sounded
Sounds
reasonable.
good.
All right.
Head in on Holly.
All right, again, I have a feeling the city's gonna find some reason to say no, they're good at that. But I think it's worthwhile just to try to see what they say, so.
Well, with the transportation asking us for ideas for the parking meter money, some paint might fit their
Yeah.
budget. So
Yeah.
if we agree, then we could include this idea to what transportation is requested from us.
Yeah.
And would they be open to the team? That doesn't take much paint at all either.
T markers, where? In the reservoir?
Anywhere that could use it, really, in our neighborhood. I know personally in front of our home, I would like that because I know for a fact 2 cars can fit in there, but only one always gets in the middle somehow. So.
Or maybe with the T, I know this is a little bit off. I know it's a little bit off topic, but maybe with painting the T's is identifying those streets where parking is really the worst. And starting with those, particularly the ones either a block north or a block south of Adams. And maybe just saying, putting in painting the T's on those blocks.
The buffer zone around the paid parking.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they painted the T's for the paid parking, they're willing to do that. For the non-paid parking, they should do it as well.
I would hate for that to introduce more paid parking in residential areas, though. I don't want them to get that idea.
I think we're actually safe on that.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know the specific ordinances, but I think they are limited on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Which is a point of contention for those that have actual residences on Adams Avenue. And that still has to be resolved.
They should have parking permits.
Yeah, well, they should get credits in the app.
Free parking permits.
Yes.
I just wanted to interject, like, to go back to, you know, I think if you give people an extra spot in front of their driveway, I think that actually takes away the pressure from creating more buildings, you know? I think it gives homeowners, you know, another spot, they're gonna be less upset if there's more buildings. And then I had one more question, because I haven't been here before. So do we actually get back a percentage of the meters, or how does that work? Like the meter revenue, are we gonna get a certain percentage, or how does that work?
I don't know what the percentage is, because they do take out, you know, the cost of the meters and the cost of enforcement, but after the fact, it is a significant amount of revenue. We're talking millions.
Do we have a ballpark for what normal heights is expected?
Not yet, no.
Well, doesn't it go into the parking meter district, the El Cajon parking meter, isn't it all part of that?
It goes into a district which is all of mid-city, so it's
Yeah,
all.
Mid-City, yeah.
Right, so if they're collecting meter money out at the end of the eastern area or out, you know, or down in City Heights, it's usable anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're not guaranteed a specific amount in normal heights. Per se.
No, and it's not restricted to commercial districts.
Yes.
And how is that decided? How is the allocation of funds? Who decides what the?
Transportation.
Yeah.
So it's based on squeaky wheel. And other metrics.
Mostly the squeaky wheel.
Yeah, most. So that's again, that's where this group provides that representation, and we are the wheel.
Squeaking.
Good. Okay.
So I'll move that we approve to send the request to the city for the head-in parking on Holly between Adams and Coulter.
Oh, is that a motion?
Yeah, it's a motion.
Second.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Second. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? So unified. Any nays, any abstains? No. Okay. I think we should take a 10-minute break.
That.
Yeah, they're gone too. The wife, the husband, daughter. They're all in college and I'm just.
All 8 people say. I think it's cool that they're all going.
All right, well, chair report. We had an economic development forum last week. Actually earlier this week. It was composed of some academics and a professional in the startup industry. Coming up with ideas for how you can increase economic development without introducing gentrification within a community. So I think the short product came out was that you need to have spaces that can be used that are cheap. So that seems like Mid-City's got a good option for a lot of spaces that you know, empty storefronts, these kinds of small flexible spaces. The affordability of the area is very important for startups. These founders don't want to spend a lot of money on like owning a car or food or rent, groceries, those kinds of things. They want to put that money into their business. They also want to have a city that's working with them for permitting and being flexible Maybe even have like a concierge office that is helping them fast track permits or guiding them through that process. If they need to build a test kitchen, what's the zoning that's available for that? We've seen, make cafes taking a long time to spin up, just getting their permits and approvals. That's all cost to them. So those are the kinds of things that, could be put into a community plan that would be sort of outside of the standard categories of transportation, parks, libraries, infrastructure. There should also be a section on economic development that's a little more robust than what we've seen previously, especially since the last plan was done in 1998. Amazon didn't exist. So when that plan talked about creating a lot of storefronts and making retail available and having lots of parking for retail, that's not the reality that we're in today. So I'm currently editing the output of that, and that'll be available soon, either in video or transcript form. And then that'll help feed the community plan update work. And I believe the first draft of the community plan is due at the end of July. And they'll start up some working groups and pass it through the same sort of channels that they did to get to the first draft. Next, community garden. We're looking at July 12th. No, sorry, June 12th. So that's about 2 weeks from now. Is having another work party. That's a weekday work party. So it'll be in the morning, Friday morning. And that's so that we don't incur any overtime with park staff that would be helping us out there, because we don't have a right of entry permit yet. Once we get a right of entry permit, we can start having our work parties whenever we want, including weekends. And then once we've actually finished the building, then we have to get a conditional use permit, which will allow us to have gardeners come on and actually start doing the gardening within the raised beds. Good news is the water is installed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they did get that in. Thank you to John Selby for underwriting the cost of getting the water in. But I still have to find out what the spec is for the drop on the end. So for the fitting. It was something I didn't recognize, but I'll get that from them later this week.
You got a grant for the water too?
No,
Oh.
we're still waiting on the grants. I believe later this month, we'll hear back from the county. And then probably in mid-July, we should hear back from AARP. So fingers crossed, lucky rabbit's foot, whatever you have, knock on wood. Because it's that would be tremendous if we get one or both of those grants.
You know what the water is likely to cost?
Very minimal.
Yeah.
Very minimal, because we're not going to pay for delivery. We're only paying for usage.
Okay.
So if you look at your water bill, like most of it is delivery.
And sewer fees and all those.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're only paying for the water we use.
Not too bad.
No, should be very, very, very low. Other community gardens have said that their water bill to the city, when they do it that way, is very low. Yeah. So that's the that is the advantage of taking the water out of the park as opposed to running a new line from the street. That we don't have to pay for the ongoing underwriting or the delivery piece. Yeah. It's non-potable water. But
Well,
I think it's just tap water, but they don't want to take a chance on it.
so there'll just be signs.
Maybe we have to put up a sign that says, "Do not drink this." Yeah. That was a very specific requirement in one of the meetings. You have to put a sign. So. Again, a sign is cost. We need donations.
What kind of sign then?
Then you order them online.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
sort of manufactured.
Like a little,
Can't be hand painted.
no, it has to be a, printed
Okay,
in,
I was gonna say.
yeah. Emily will be hosting our July meeting. I'll be out of town. The
That, the July meeting 7th.
Yes. And then not too much to report from the CPC. There was some presentations, there was a presentation from the city on a change on their fee structure within DSD because there's usually a flat surcharge fee for a permit. And so now they're changing the surcharge to a percentage of the permit. So basically it's a fee for the fee. And that fee pays for the DSD staff. So it's not really a concern unless you're a developer and putting in plan permits. And it is, and the upside is that it would be, of course, scaled, because if you're doing a small project, you have small amount of fees, so the surcharge is small. If you're doing a large project, the surcharge fee is larger, and thus you would have a higher surcharge fee. So if you're building a big apartment building, you may have to pay an extra 1%.
So they've changed the fee structure, not necessarily the adding that on top of the current one?
Yeah, the surcharge was a flat fee for like administrative overhead. Now it's based on a percentage of the fees that are being charged. Yeah, it kind of makes sense to me, because the flat fee wasn't really fair for those who were doing small projects, and it was very advantageous for those doing large projects. Do we have any government representation from city, county, state, or federal here?
It's election day.
It's election day.
Hi, Paul. I'm here.
Oh, hi. It's Kanoa. Yay.
Hi. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I'm gonna spotlight you.
Good. So for those I haven't been able to meet yet, my name's Kanoa. I'm the community rep from Councilmember Ela Rivera's office. I represent Normal Heights, Kensington, and Talmadge. So I'm just going to give a few updates. I don't have too many today. First off, I want to acknowledge the fact that meters did go live along Adams last week. Our office is always open to hearing feedback and concerns, questions, anything. Paul has my information. My information is also online. More than happy to have conversations about that. Our office did create a survey, basically asking for feedback from residents and people that just walk along Adams. Basically, with the revenue that we generate, it is going to go back to all the community parking district areas. That includes Normal Heights, Kensington, and Talmadge. So if you guys have certain spots or hubs that you want us to focus on with that revenue, that's something that we're definitely going to take note of and put into consideration. If anyone wants that survey, I believe I sent it to Paul already, but I can also send it again for him to send out to you guys. We've gotten a good amount of responses, basically with some streets they want to see repaved or potholes fixed, some sidewalks that they want looked at. I know there's some stop signs in some places, so definitely something we're taking note of. On top of that, we have a few things coming to council, obviously with budget season. Council will be voting on budget on June 9th. If there is anything that you guys feel compelled to talk about, I encourage you to come and join us for public comment with that. We also have the junk fees ordinance coming to council on the 30th of June. If that's something you guys are also interested in being kept up with. And then I had a meeting with city planning today to basically talk about where the mid-city plan update is at. They didn't have any updates, unfortunately. It was a lot of basically with SB 79. The plan needs to align with that, of course. So they're not able to get too much into detail in regards to what they have or what they don't have. And we're waiting with Sandag basically to come out with their piece as well. They estimated to have an internal draft ready by the beginning of July, and then we'll have something to share with you guys hopefully by mid to end of July. I know Paul already mentioned that we're working on trying to do something with Ward Canyon over at the garden. We're also hoping to do a beautification. We had a beautification a couple months back, I think in either March or May. We're basically revisiting to kind of finish up what we already did, to touch up on some new stuff. So when I have that information, I'd love to share that information with you guys and maybe have you guys come out and work with us. And that is basically everything I have. If anybody has any questions or anything, I'm more than happy to take them.
What is the, what are the junk fees related to?
So the junk fees are related to basically it's transparency within rentals. I don't know how many of you guys rent. I just recently graduated college, so I'm a huge rental. And when you go to rent like apartments or houses, there's normally a lot of fees that come with it. The junk fee ordinance basically kind of ensures that there's transparency with what those fees are, ensures that you're not, signing leases and then getting something down the line that you weren't told about before. I do have a one pager about that basically goes more into depth. I'm not the biggest policy person. We have a policy team that's more better on that. But I'm more than happy to share that with you, and it has more information.
I would be very interested in that. I recently found that there was a property management company that had a rental, they call it a benefits package. And part of that package is designed to improve your credit score, but it doesn't ask you if you want it or not. And
that would be something that I think would get looked into.
Yeah, so it is possible to opt out of it, but the company was barely prepared to do that because it's under state law. You can opt out of it. But basically, it is a data reselling program. So once you sign up into it, then they have access to your credit scores and all of your payment history and all of that. And you don't really get anything out of it other than just selling off other than having your landlord sell off your data.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to see if that is part of your junk fee package.
Absolutely. I'll send that.
Any other questions? Questions from the room? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'll take, please send me the junk fee info. And of course, we'll be coordinating on the beautification and the Ward King and the community garden and all that.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Survey, you have this survey that he was referring to about parking meter revenue.
Right.
Where can that be found?
So the survey for the parking meter revenue is related to the meeting that we had with transportation, correct?
So the survey that I'm talking about is one that was created by our office. It wasn't one that was created necessarily in joint. So I just don't want to get to like, oh, the transportation department. It was a survey that our office made. The council member actually made the survey himself.
Okay.
Yeah, I can send that to you, Paul. It's kind of the same thing, where it's kind of just, where are spots that you see something that you want fixed. So we have written down. So when transportation does come to us and say, hey, what should we do with this money? We have direct feedback and direct data from you guys that we can use.
Yeah, so
You get it, so we can.
one big pile, and then we're gonna supply it to D9 transportation and anybody that'll listen on the street.
Okay, but that's the survey, I mean, if you got the survey.
Yeah, we'll make sure that it
we could
gets,
individually put our 2 cents in.
yeah, so yeah, send me the survey and I'll make sure that everybody on the board has a copy of that in their inbox.
No,
Okay.
Yeah,
Will do.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. We
Yeah.
have a social media page.
We do.
Yeah,
We have a
put it
Facebook
on there
page.
too. Oh, that's great.
Nobody goes there.
I go there.
Is that, oh, that's who's been visiting, okay. Any local organizations for AABA, El Cajon Boulevard Business Association, Normal Heights Community Association, Normal Heights Urban Arts, Adams Community Rec Advisory Group? Did you guys meet or?
What we decided, and talked with the different recreation centers, and they only meet every 3 months. So our next meeting will be in July. And didn't have any meeting this month. So.
Okay.
So unless we put on a special meeting or something, otherwise we'll be around until July, to be every 3 months.
Okay, Normal Heights for Smart Growth, change my hat for a minute. We were co-hosts for the Economic Development Forum along with the CPC. And we're now fielding an inquiry from North Park wants to do a community garden, and they want our recipe basically. Next up is Joint Mid-City Community Plan Update Committee, which is usually Emily. I think I've already spoken on that in terms of, and Kano also spoke on that we're sort of in a wait cycle while they're aligning the SB 79 with community plan and then being able to come up with that first draft. Talked to Dan earlier. He said there's nothing for historical property review report. And we covered utility undergrounding earlier in the meeting. And the sidewalk committee has, the current status on that is just Kanoa has the list of our top GIDs that were that were submitted. And so she's working with transportation to keep that on the list and keep that at the top. So they'll probably come out and do some grinding and asphalt patching, yay.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath.
They'll get the worst of the worst, but it won't be pretty.
On that subject, Paul,
Yes,
I sent in three different email addresses. Get it done for the corner of 33rd and Copley. And I only got response from one of my email accounts. And that property has been, the sidewalk has been unwalkable, and you can't use a walker or a wheelchair for the last 15 years, at least 15 years. And the city's response was that the estimated resolution time is 20 days for mitigation, temporary repair, ramping, multiple years, 8+ for permanent repairs.
yes.
So that's gonna be in the neighborhood of 22 years or more that the problem's been there for that corner. And it's the complete corner, property to property.
Do you know of any mobility challenged people in that area?
Many.
That helps.
Well, if you walk that, when people are out walking,
Yeah,
they come out the driveway, into the street, around the corner, and back in on the street again. Because many people have reported this, even before Get It Done was around. And the city comes out every once in a while with their grinder, and the property owner has put plastic cement or something. It's just atrocious. If you really want to see something terrible, just go up to Copley and 33rd and look at that.
And
I
it's
think
slippery too, by the way. It's really unsafe. The plastic makes it,
terrible.
plastic,
Yeah.
whatever it is, makes it very slippery.
oh,
Yeah,
Well, it's atrocious.
yeah.
Many people have fallen there.
if you have an inventory of users that you see in the street, just the count, like I have one wheelchair, 2 walkers, whatever it is, we don't even need names, just the head count. That would help push the GID to the top of the list.
Well, before COVID, I talked to a city engineer that was out there for some other thing. And he said that because of the scope, because it is it's close to 200 feet, that the property owners were responsible.
True, the property owner is responsible, but the
city does not go after the
but the city is still liable for the hazard.
You would think.
So they have to do that's why they have to do the patching and grinding.
And they make it worse. This lady can attest to, when they go out there and do their asphalt patching and their grinding off the corners, they make it worse.
It's really bad when it's raining or something.
Oh, yes, when it's raining.
It's just really not safe. I mean, it's like this too. So
Okay,
I have to walk my dog around it and go in the street, so actually that's close to the area.
we can put this in the top of the list.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other business? Going once? We're gone.